Why do so many men go missing and drown after a night out? Is the headline of an article written by the Huffington Post back in June of 2019. They touch on a few testimonies of how young men aged under 35 end up in rivers, canals, lakes, or the sea. Research from the University of Portsmouth gives the number as roughly 17 per year, in fact. This would just be in the UK alone. Take the story of Shane Walsh, a 29-year-old father and husband who, at around 3 a.m. in the morning, had made his way home but was propelled into the River Severn after falling over a small wall. The cause of his drown was highlighted when police discovered CCTV, which showed his final moments. But what about the more unexplained and mysterious examples? Well, up in Manchester since the early 2000s, there's been a somewhat urban legend by the name of the Manchester Pusher, who's thought to be a serial killer. This comes as the result of roughly 85 people, 72 of them being men, being pulled from rivers, canals or waterways in Greater Manchester since 2008. But some stories have came out before this date. Some, including the Greater Manchester Police and high-ranking officers, brush it off as exactly that, an urban legend, whilst others, such as Professor Craig Jackson from Birmingham University, gives the theory some credibility. He said, talking of the possibility that the Manchester Pusher is real and a serial killer, it is extremely unlikely that such an alarming number of bodies found in the canals is the result of accidents or suicides. New Year's Eve 2012. 18-year-old design student Sovik Powell had been thrown out of the warehouse project dance night for jumping a queue for the toilets. Some 22 days later, Sovik Powell was found 50 yards away in Bridgewater Canal, and everyone's left scratching their heads nearly 10 years later, wondering what exactly happened. You see, this wasn't just a case of Sovik wandering off into the night drunk and falling into the canal. His father, Santanu Powell, believes something more sinister happened that night. CCTV shows Sovik outside the club shortly after 11 p.m. on New Year's Eve. He's then spotted with what's been described as a mystery man walking away from the club, where the two are seen crossing the bridge before one tries to climb up the railing. We don't know what happens in those moments. All we do know is that later CCTV shows one of the two men walking away by themselves. You connect the dots. But if this was a simple case of Sovik falling into the canal and he was with a friend, surely this friend would try to lend a hand or call for emergency services. So why then did it take 22 days for the police to eventually locate his body? Also, I do find it interesting that until this day, police have yet to release that CCTV footage of the two together. At the time, all they said was they've done all they can to find this mystery man, but have not made the quote poor quality images public. In the end, his cause of death was concluded as drowning. No marks were discovered on his clothing, and he suffered no physical injuries. 9 years prior, on the 17th of April 2004, 21-year-old David Plunkett had been at a music event at Daytona Racetrack in Trafford Park. He'd been drinking heavy, but friends suspected he'd been spiked. At some point, he would go on to get ejected from the venue after becoming rowdy and wanting to fight people. At roughly 1:15 a.m. the following morning, so a few hours later, David's mother Anne called him after receiving a call from one of David's friends saying that they'd become separated and were looking for him. The phone call, which connected after 3 tries, consisted mainly of walking noises. Then roughly 10 minutes into the call, he was heard saying, "I'm turning right, I'm turning right, I'm turning right." Seconds later, a scream bellowed out, and Anne, concerned, dialed for police, to which she merged the calls. The call wasn't recorded because the recorder wasn't working, but the handler who took the call was so shaken by the incident that she later resigned because of this specific incident. She says, talking of the incident still haunts me to this day, and with every death I see reported in the news, I become more and more convinced that these are murders and not accidents. Phone records from his mobile phone have shown that when he took the call, he was between Salford Quays and the Old Trafford football ground, but that phone to this day is yet to be recovered, and it hasn't been in use since that day. David's body was found around 12 days later on the 30th of April in the Manchester shipping canal. Despite the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death, the pathologist said the likely cause was accidental drowning. So as you can see, all is not what it seems when men are being pulled from bodies of water in the UK. But you've seen the title of this video, and the main story takes us to London, more specifically Putney, where only over the past couple of months, 2 men have been pulled from the River Thames under suspicious circumstances. The family of one of them are putting petitions for the general public to help them with the investigation surrounding his death. At roughly 12:40 AM on Sunday the 15th of August 2021, kickboxing instructor Paul Conte texted his girlfriend to let her know he was walking home from a party in Barnes, a journey that was expected to take around an hour. When he didn't make it back, however, his family reported him missing. Paul's sister Leanne slammed the Metropolitan Police for their response to the missing person appeal, something we also seen in the case of Richard Okodege. At roughly 7 AM on Wednesday the 18th of August 2021, Paul's body was seen floating in the River Thames at Putney Bridge. But Paul's family believe that all isn't what it seems and something had happened to him that night. Take a look at this CCTV footage on Ferry Road in Barnes. You'll notice that some men are seen hanging around as if they're looking for someone. When Paul is seen walking around the corner, all of a sudden the car begins to move, but that's all the public CCTV that's currently out there. All we know is that Paul would be found dead only days later in the River Thames. The investigation into Paul's last moments is still ongoing. If you have any vital information that could help in trying to find out what happened to him that night, you can follow Paulie's Army on Facebook. I'll leave that linked down in the description below. Was you in that specific area near Barnes? Did you see Paul, or was you near Putney Bridge on those dates in August? If you have anything that could help, again, the link will be down in the description below. 17th of October 2021. Last month, Mohammed Musa was seen at around 5:30 PM on Putney High Street wearing a navy trench coat, light blue shirt, dark trousers and canvas trainers. The last specifics we know is that he was walking past Simmons Bar on the high street walking towards Putney Bridge, that same exact bridge that Paul Conte's body was pulled from only in months prior. From here, however, Mohammed Musa was not seen again until 2 days later on the 19th of October, where his body was discovered in the early hours of the morning near to Hammersmith Bridge in the River Thames. In an update into the investigation, police say they're confident that he didn't turn left down Lower Richmond Road or cross over the road towards the church and cinema, but they're puzzled as to what happened next. Despite the similarities in the cases of both men, the Metropolitan Police aren't currently linking the two cases. Again, if you do have any information at all about Mohammed's death in his last moments, please contact the local authorities and let them know what you know. But back to that number 17 once again. Yes, roughly 17 people are found in bodies of water per year in the UK. But I find it strange how, only over the past couple of months, men of all ages are being found dead in the River Thames. 49-year-old Graham Payne was reported missing by his family in May of this year, 2021. The following day after that report was made, Graham was found dead in the River Thames. Or what about in July, where an 80-year-old man who hasn't currently been named in the media was found in the River Thames dead after police were called to Wokingham Waterside Centre at 6:30 a.m. On the 11th of September 2021, Daweed Krupa was last seen fishing near Kingston and Hampton Court, but only hours later he was reported missing. Well, he was also found in the River Thames only days later on the 15th. Could some of these incidents be explained? Well, some I could see being the case. For example, in the case of Daweed, you could say that maybe something happened whilst fishing. Maybe he fell or got pulled into the water. But others, such as Paul and Mohammed, I personally think have something more to it than them simply falling over. But are we seeing a copycat of the Manchester Pusher? Me personally, I don't think so, and I think these are isolated cases and not some mere copycat. Either way though, I do think there's something more sinister about these cases where people are being found dead in the River Thames. What do you guys think on this situation? I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you want to see some more of these investigation type videos, I also want you to let me know down in the comment section below, because we can start working on some of these types of videos. I don't normally do these types of videos, but again, if you do want to see something like that, let me know down in the comment section below. For now though, give the video a like for more crime related content like this, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't. It's been me, Huncho, and I'll see you in the next one.